Content warning. Cursing. The dream.
Hi, my name is Emma Sylvester, and it's a Sunday evening, and I'm going to tell you about a dream that I had. Well, I've had this dream a number of times, maybe 4 times I remember vividly. The most recent was probably over a year ago now. And I'm at the top of a cliff wearing a bikini. Underneath me is a blue lagoon. I'm gonna say it's like maybe 40 meters below me. It's a big drop. I'm not great at judging distance, but it's a really big drop. And it's a beautiful day, and there are trees, just like deciduous trees, kind of far off to my right and left. And on the other side of the lagoon is just another cliff. It's like a big hole, I guess. And I run and take off and jump into the lagoon, and fall and jump into the water, and it's quite mild. It's really nice, and I'm just feeling good. I'm having a good time. And I swim and float up to the top, and there's a whole group of people who seem to be like my classmates, and I join them, and we're swimming around, and then I walk out. I walk up these rocks to get off, to climb up the cliff again, to jump. And as I walk up the rocks towards the top of the cliff, my teeth start to feel loose. And I know that teeth falling out is a very common dream thing, but this is always how it happens for me. So the teeth start to feel loose, and I feel like maybe I face planted in the water, and they loosened up from the impact or something. And so I'm a little bit concerned, but like whatever, having a good time. And I just run back up to the top of the cliff, and I jump again. And same thing, like run, take off, and jump. And just like nice, savoring this feeling of falling and contentment. And I land on the water, and I get up again, and I crawl out, and then I walk out, and then I sit down before I climb back up to the cliff, and my teeth are more loose. And I find like a little bowl in a rock beside me. And I gradually pull out each tooth one by one, because they're loose enough that I can just do that. And it doesn't hurt. It's just like I can feel them inside of my gums as I like yank out each one in each of its spaces. And I take them out one by one, and I put them into this little bowl and just like save them for later. And I run up and go cliff jump again. Just like keep having this good time. And then I'm like swimming around and like splashing in the water with these people, like where I'm somehow able to talk perfectly without all my teeth. And then right as I realize I'm about to, or like we have to go, it's done, there's no more jumping. And I go back to the bowl of my teeth, or the little like cup of my teeth in the rock. And just as I took them out, I pick up each one individually and put it back in. I like kind of inspect it and see what sort of tooth it is. And I put it back in to my head in each spot. And I most vividly remember putting like a bicuspid in and realizing that it's not quite straight, and like rotating it inside my face and my mouth and like shoving that up and getting them all one by one. And then being like, cool, set, good to go. And like off I go on this hike with everybody. And that's it. And then I wake up.
What does it mean? What does it mean? What does it mean? So Emma runs Constellate with Greg, which I mentioned in that last episode. It's a storytelling podcast, and usually a live event too. Anyway, so that's something that one can listen to or check out on Instagram. But yeah, these guys are both such good storytellers, obviously.
Yeah. Another very good story. Another very vivid one.
Yeah, really visceral. Just very beautiful too. Made me feel nice. Mostly.
Yeah, I was picturing, like, have you seen pictures of I think, what's it called? Gypsum Mine Lake.
I don't think so.
There's this lake. Anyway, there's this lake in Cape Breton. I haven't been there. I've just seen pictures of it. It looks spectacular, but it's like cliffs all around it and like, you know, forest.
Yeah.
But then it's just this little jewel of a lake, like way below these cliffs. Like it just looks totally spectacular.
Right.
And I was just picturing that when she's describing it.
Nice.
Which is probably, So if you want, like, my interpretation of a visual representation of her scenario from her dream based on her description, just Google Chetty Camp Gypsum Mine Trail or Gypsum Mine Lake.
There you go, a little visual aid for our listeners.
Yeah. So have you had dreams with teeth falling out?
I have not, and this is something but I've heard of this, you know, many times, because it does seem like it's one of the big ones, you know, it's like people have flying dreams, people have falling dreams, people have teeth falling out dreams.
Yeah. I know I've heard of it as a thing. I honestly have never looked up what it's supposed to mean. Like, do you know what it's meant?
What I've heard... And I remember, like, I don't know, in middle school or something, one of my teachers mentioned having one and then mentioned that it's about aging. And that it makes sense to me that if it's a dream that all humans have, you know, and all of us are on some track of learning about our bodies growing older and, like, probably fearing death and, like, you know, getting older and our bodies sort of slowly breaking down in some way. The teeth is one of those things that, you know, it's like we take them so for granted, and then at some point, people tend to lose them. So that makes, you know, it makes sense to me that it has something to do with the consciousness of bodies getting older.
Yeah, and if that is what her mind's doing with this, like, props, because she's very chill about it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the thing is, like, okay, so I have a second, I don't know how to layer these two things together, but my own personal symbology about the idea of teeth being loose, and I'll try to explain this in a way that would make sense to other people. I remember when I was, like, 19, and I feel like it was when I was just at the beginning... Well, I was within the first, like, year and a bit of the relationship that I'm still in, and, like, the awareness that this was, like, a big life thing, that I was in this relationship. And, like, the metaphor that I was using to explain to myself the way that I felt during that period of time was that I felt like loose teeth. Like, I remember writing about that in my journals. I remember at one point saying it to Tristan. He was like, what do you mean?
Like, you felt like you were a loose tooth?
So, but loose teeth in a different way than it's like not a tooth that's falling out, but more like, and I don't know why I have this visceral sense of what this feels like because I can't actually remember, but maybe this is something that children's mouths feel like when their new teeth are growing in, but the feeling of being a tooth that's loose because stuff is shifting around, like that it hasn't found its place yet in the mouth. Because, like, the other teeth are growing in around it, and it's, like, finding its new spot. Anyway, so when I think of loose teeth, that's what I think about is, like, feeling unstable because you're in a transition period. But I guess that doesn't really fit with the idea of teeth falling out. Except that in this case with Emma's, it's all, like, they're falling out, and then she's putting them back in, you know?
Yeah.
It's like...
Yeah. I mean, I think, like, building off of what your description of the teeth being, like, there's, like, some force coming in behind them, like, pushing them around, like, things are moving and shifting because there's, like, change happening in your life. Like, for her, it's not so much, there's not so much, like, of a loss of control associated with it, because it's very much like she's, like, noticing that it's happening, she's noticing probably why she's making the decision to, like, allow it to continue happening. When it does, she just makes the decision to just take them out and put them aside right now because it doesn't really make a difference. Like, to me, like, if we're going to go down the route that you're describing, like, it's like her conscious willingness to put her rigidity aside to experience new things.
Right.
Which, you know, like, she's in this beautiful new place. Like, she's around a bunch of people. They're going on a hike. Yeah. It sounds kind of adventurous. Like, jumping off this cliff at the beginning, she's like, it's 40 meters tall. It looks very high, but then she jumps off and it's fine. Yeah. Like, it is, like, in a way, a kind of a dream about, like, new frontiers and new experiences. And, like, maybe setting the teeth aside is just, like, representing her, her, like, willingness to, be open to that.
Yeah. I mean, it does feel like a dream about openness to experience and, like, lack of anxiety and fear in the face of things that would usually be anxiety provoking. Jumping off a cliff, I feel like even the most chill person, it's still, there's often going to be some kind of moment of negotiating with yourself around, like, it's okay to jump off this cliff.
Yeah, I know. And it's in this dream, she doesn't even describe, like, that she doesn't describe the feeling of standing on the precipice, really. She just describes that it looks far, but she's not like wavering at the edge. Like, she doesn't describe, like, taking the leap or leading up to it. She's just like, it looks like really long way down to the water. And then she's like, then I just, like, jumped and it was fine. And I was underwater swimming. Like, it's not like that leap wasn't, like, a dramatic experience at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. I feel like the teeth are just, like, a sense of stability or, like, like, the teeth are like a sense of stability, maybe, right? So, like, you would remove them, they loosen as you are coming into some change, you remove them so that you can go through it, and then once you're, like, through on the other side, you would put them back in, and it just marks, like, that you're in this new. Well, I mean, like, yeah, so you lose your like, when you're growing as a child, like, you're losing all these teeth, and eventually you have all your adult teeth, like, you're getting new teeth, you're not, like, putting your old teeth back in, but you have all these new teeth that are new there, and it marks that you're an adult now.
Right.
Or not like an adult, but whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, like, so it's just, like, that it's like it marks your arrival in the new phase.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, what's interesting here, then, is that seems like it's not like her dream brain, like, okay, and now you've grown your new teeth for this new circumstance. It's like you've gone through this thing and you were able to set aside, you know, this fragile or, like, the stability or whatever. And you don't have to throw that out. Like, you can continue on now. Like, you...
Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting because it's sort of like thinking about the idea of change as being like, I think... always change feels like something has to die in change. Like, something is getting buried, you grieve, whatever. But then it's like, actually, that's not always true. You're not always fully saying goodbye to something. Sometimes you go through a thing and then you just come back to these other parts. And you don't have to grieve them because you're going to have them again.
Yeah, you just integrate that new experience or that new thing with your original self, and it just becomes part of you.
Yeah.
Instead of, like, trading in one for the other.
Yeah.
Sounds healthy.
It does. It sounds real good. I feel like this dream is, like, lessons for how to deal with change.
Yeah, absolutely.
Be chill, you know, take out the things that don't belong in that particular circumstance, allow yourself to move with what's going on, and then... you know, carry on. Don't be dramatic about things you don't need to be dramatic about.
Yeah. If you don't get it in right first, just twist it a little bit. You'll be okay.
Yeah. Twist that bicuspid.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening.
Help us keep making this by subscribing to and reviewing the podcast wherever you listen to it, and following and liking us on social media.
If you love this, you can support us on Patreon.
We will reward you.